They've just stormed down a barricade. They seem to be getting pretty close. Capitol Police are retreating.
So I was at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. And I have to make the disclaimer that I was not there in participation in the insurrection, the riots, the rally. I was there as a filmmaker, as someone who has been documenting civil unrest in the district for years now. January 6th was the day that Congress was supposed to officially certify the election results. It was fairly well known that there was going to be a rally on the mall that day. It was also fairly well known that there were people coming there to commit violent acts. Some people would say there's no way we could have known, but it was pretty obvious. There was a whole bunch of talk online on mainstream platforms like Reddit, but also there was a lot of talk on some of these alt-right websites that there was going to be a confrontation on that day. This was something that was on my radar, and I went with my camera, tried to document as much as I could. So this is where everything started on January 6th. I got here right before Trump started speaking, behind me at the ellipse in front of the White House. He was holding a rally about some BS about the election was stolen.
We will stop the steal.
That democracy is being taken away.
We're gathered together in the heart of our nation's capital for one very, very, very basic and simple reason: to save our democracy.
People were cheering him on. They were riled up.
We will not let them silence your voices. We're not going to let it happen. We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is all about.
And at the end of the speech, he was like, we're going to march down to the Capitol.
And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you to the Capitol. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness.
As the speech started to wind down, I started seeing people just like start walking towards the Capitol. Like there groups of people, they were just leaving the rally. And that's when I knew something wasn't gonna go well. So I get in my car, I drive down to Capitol Hill. I found this open parking spot, a few blocks from the Capitol. I was just excited to get a parking spot in the middle of the day. But as I'm parking the car, I start hearing all these sirens, police cars coming in the distance. So I park the car, I jump out, get all my stuff. I grab my electric skateboard to try to get over to the Capitol as soon as possible. And as I'm rushing away from my car, I see this police officer running towards me, telling me, get out of the area, get out of the area. Now I'm thinking something must be going on in the Capitol, which would later become true. But at that point in time, all those police cars, all those sirens were rushing to the scene because somebody found a bomb planted outside the Democratic National Committee headquarters. So I parked right here, a few blocks from the Capitol. Little did I know, the bomb was right in front of that building, the DNC headquarters. So I'm still on my skateboard. I'm trying to find a way towards the Capitol because they start blocking off streets. I kind of go around the backside of the Capitol, and they hadn't blocked that off yet. So behind me is really where most of the violence happened. And by the time I got down here, there were thousands of people. As far as I could see, literally as far as I could see, there were people. They had all walked down from the White House. As the crowds kept getting bigger and bigger, I started getting nervous. Number one, it's still COVID, and nobody here is wearing masks. Number two, I'm surrounded by thousands of violent rioters who, anytime they see someone with a media badge, they think it's the enemy. And number three, I'm afraid the police are gonna think that I'm one of them. So I'm trying to blend in, not looking like the media, not looking like a protester, not looking like a rioter. And so quickly, like, I'm trying to stay away from people. The air is filled with like all this tear gas and stuff. And so I decided, you know what, I gotta get out of this area, but I still need to, I need to document this. So I found this tree and had the idea I was gonna go climb this tree. Number one, to get away from the gas, to get away from the people, but number two, to get a better shot and a better view of what was going on. So I climbed up this tree with all my gear.
This is the tree that I climbed up. There was no leaves on it because it was January.
And at that time, there were just a handful of Capitol police officers on the scene trying to control a crowd that quickly grew to the thousands and thousands. Chaos quickly surrounded the situation. It was far out of control. It was getting violent very quickly. It was getting physical. They were pushing, trying to remove the security gates. Eventually, some of the rioters climbed the scaffolding that they had installed to be used for the inauguration. Eventually, the police line was broken by the rioters, and the police retreated back into the building. I couldn't see where they went, but they disappeared. And now all of a sudden, there's just thousands of people moving forward towards the doors of the Capitol. You know, people were watching on TV what was going on. I was just in the tree, and I didn't have any data connection. Probably because there were so many people. Maybe they tried to like turn off some of the cell towers, I don't know. But I couldn't get a data signal on my phone, so I really didn't know what was happening on the other side of the scaffolding. I didn't know that they were breaking into the Capitol. That was not a thought that crossed my mind. I didn't think, I don't know, I figured just the Capitol would have bulletproof glass or like shatterproof or not even windows on the ground level. The doors and windows are over there beyond those steps. And I at the time had no idea that they had actually gotten inside the building. And from what I was experiencing, things had, you know, somewhat calmed down, but little did I know, inside, it was just the opposite. And as we would later find out, people died, people were traumatized, our institution was attacked. Congress is currently holding an investigation and hearings into what happened on January 6th. I think it's very important for us to hear those testimonies, but to me it's pretty obvious what happened here. There was an insurrection inspired by the president to attempt to disrupt our democracy based on lies. A lot of people argue it's not Trump's fault that his supporters came here and did what they did, but without his rally, without his lies, this wouldn't have happened. And to me, it goes back to the old example of screaming fire in a crowded room when there's no fire. If people stampede out of that crowded room and people get hurt, that's on the person who yelled fire. And in this case, that was Donald Trump.